This is Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details. Here are your hosts, Joe, Matt, and Chris.
Free agency is complete. The trades are complete. We are a week away from draft day, baby, and all the teams are getting finalized. They are getting their boards set. Everything is looking towards draft day on Thursday, this coming Thursday. You know what time it is. I'll be glued to my TV, and so will you. We'll be going live for the draft on this channel. So if you are a fan of this channel, if you're subscribed to this channel, you will not want to miss it. But what are we going to do before then? Well, we're going to do what every other page has been doing, baby. We're going to do a mock draft. We're going 1 to 32. We have 1 minute to make a pick and explain our pick for the team before we get cut off and move on to the next team. We don't want to waste your time. We're going to get through this thing in one video, and we're going to do our best to keep it under 35 minutes for 32 picks. Obviously, this intro doesn't count, so don't hold it against me. I have 5 seconds left, so without further ado, we are going to go into the first pick. The Titans are on the clock, and picking for the Titans is my boy Matt. Matt, who are the Titans looking at?
Well, it's me. First of all, I picked the AFC South divisions because I would get a hell of a lot of early round picks in this first round because all of the teams in the South divisions are trash. So I'm going to be picking for the most trash teams in the NFL. But listen, I don't know about these guys. I don't know what these guys are doing, but I'm picking as if I think what these teams are going to do, not as what I think they should do, what I think they're going to do. And I think everybody knows what the Tennessee Titans are going to do with this first overall pick. They're going to pick Miami quarterback Cam Ward with the first overall pick. I think Titans fans and Titans front office have gotten real tired of Will Levis as their quarterback, the mayonnaise-eating deviant that he is. And I think they're going to go with Cam Ward here, the quarterback from Miami. Obviously, we see the talent. We see the arm talent. Sammy obviously knows, being a University of Miami fan, he's got the arm talent. I personally, I'm not as sold on him as the number one quarterback in the class. I got Shedeur Sanders as my number one quarterback in the class, but I think the Tennessee Titans are sold on Cam Ward. And Cam Ward is going to be the number one overall pick of the 2025 NFL draft.
Absolutely. Sammy, you're up, buddy. NFC North, Cleveland Browns are on the clock.
This is hands down one of the toughest spots for me because I have 3 options, and I think one of those options is kind of like not really comparable to the others. I'll just go ahead and spoil it for you guys. It's between Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, and Shedeur Sanders. You guys know who I'm talking about, the other one being completely outside of conversations. This is a very, very tough decision for me. But I decided, you know what? Damn it. The Browns, they needed a bit of wide receiver help and a bit of corner help as well. I think the person that matches both of those is Travis freaking Hunter. Travis Hunter is going to be a Cleveland Brown, and he will help whoever the hell the QB is going to be march Cleveland to glory. Oh, God.
The good news is, Sammy, after making that decision, you got another one, baby. You also have the NFC East. The Giants are on the clock.
Oh, God, this is terrible. Let me tell you something about these damn Giants, man. I was like, oh, my gosh. They're going to get a veteran QB, and they're going to develop a QB. That's what they're going to do. And then they decided, let's get 2 veteran QBs and develop them with – I don't know what to tell you. I still am going to stand on business, though. I still think the Giants are going to pick Shedeur Sanders. It's a reach. It's 1,000% a reach. It's no question a reach. Look how far you got to scroll. Jeez.
I gotta go to the next page.
Damn, PFF is not showing any love to Shedeur Sanders. I have Shedeur Sanders going to the New York Giants.
So I got the Patriots. I picked the AFC East. As a Patriots fan, this pick is near and dear to my heart. And 2 things happen here. Either they take Abdul Carter if he is still on the board, which is probably one of the only 2 blue chip players on the board, and you cannot help but love this pick. Or they use the fact that Abdul Carter is still on the board to get draft capital, because this is where their phones are going to be ringing. However, Mike Vrabel loves his defensive players, and he loves his blue chip players.
He does.
And as much as it pains me to do this, because I am a fan of the trade back, and I have offers, baby. I know the 49ers are on the phone calling me right now because they would love to get this guy. I cannot let one of the 2 best players in this draft go by. And as much as it pains me, it's not a position of need. But you know what you do? You draft the best player on the board. And the best player on the board is Abdul Carter, is a Patriot.
Wow.
And he's getting 19 and a half sacks.
Wow, so much. Damn, what the heck?
19.5.
So damn, bro. Can we
We're
relax, bro?
right now. We're doing it.
No, what the heck? First of all, I'm in so much pain. I'm in so much pain. I have to draft the best player in the draft. Oh my goodness.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Ooh.
I think any Patriots fan, there's 3 of them here. I think we're all ecstatic if Abdul Carter is a Patriot. Although I think, based on all the reporting, I think it's highly questionable if he will be a Patriot come draft day. So we'll see.
But Matt, hey, you're already talking, boy. You're on the clock,
Oh,
dog.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Look at the heck.
Oh, listen. Okay, so listen with the Jags. The Jags have a bunch of positions of need. You see on there, it says wide receiver, tight end, D-line. And there's 2 players I think they could select here. One is Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State. I think that would be a really, really good fit for the Jags, especially having Trevor Lawrence, having a really good outside receiver and Brian Thomas Jr., having somebody to eat up yards on the inside, and Tyler Warren's a super versatile player. Some team in the very near future is going to get a great player in Tyler Warren. But I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to draft Mason Graham, the defensive lineman out of Michigan, because they have the 2 great edge rushers in Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker. Then you bring in Mason Graham to eat up some double teams. That's going to be a really, really valuable thing for the Jags defense that really struggled in the pass game to have a really good D-line that's going to get after the quarterback, and it's going to help out a secondary that really, really struggled last year. So I think Mason Graham is the pick here for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And hey, we are traveling out west. Kris, your first pick, you had both West divisions. The Raiders are on the clock.
Yes. So, I'm not going to lie, I struggle with this one. I think for me, this is actually, in my opinion, where the draft kind of starts, to be quite honest with you, because there are 3 different options I'm looking at. So you're looking at Tetsuo McMillan, you're looking at Aston Jinsey, and those have to be on their top. And then obviously you're looking at Tyler Warren, right? So you see Tyler Warren in the 12 personnel with Brock Bowers. You see Aston Jinsey because they absolutely need a running back in the backfield, completely shores that up. Or you do what I'm about to do, which I've been stuck to probably for the last several months in this particular spot, and they take Tetsuo McMillan out of Arizona.
Wow.
The reason being is you already have a legit slot receiver, right? And Jacoby Myers, who I absolutely love. But outside of that, they have no other help. And we already have talked about the tight ends already have a deep class. The running backs have a deep class. So while it's probably going to hate for a lot of people to see that Aston Jinsey gets passed, I think that you need a X receiver more than you're going to need that running back, because there are other running backs that I think will perform just as well and give you more benefit in that regard. So for this particular reason, I think they take Tetsuo McMillan out of Arizona.
Hey,
interesting.
I have my problems with Tet. I think that he's a carbon copy of later wide receivers. I think that he could drop, but if there's a spot for him to go, I think the Raiders is it. I do like the pick. The Jets are on the clock, and it's back to me. And boy, oh boy, do I have some decisions. Will Campbell is still on the board, and we have seen the tape. We on this channel illustrated the tape, but is left tackle really what they need right now? I'm not so sold. I think that Morgan Moses, the right tackle, who is now in New England, left a gaping hole on the right side. And who is the best right tackle in this draft?
We already
But
know.
Armand Membu.
That's a good pick.
Your boy.
That's a
The
good
Jets
pick.
Your boy.
will pass up Will Campbell because he's not a position of need and get the guy, the best right tackle in this draft and the highest athletic tackle in this draft, and they'll place him on the right side of that offensive line. And Matt, you have back-to-back picks, but the Panthers are on the clock.
Oh boy, Carolina Panthers. Listen, this one, to me, you're going to have to scroll down a little bit for this one because PFF does not think very highly of this player, okay? They're not a big person on this player, and this is a player that me and Kris talked about on a previous episode as far as linebackers go. But is he a linebacker? Is he an edge? He might be a tweener. Who knows? But to me, he's the second best defensive player in this draft behind Abdul Carter, and I'm talking about Jalen Walker from Georgia. The Panthers obviously need a lot of help as far as defense goes. They had the most points allowed in the NFL last year, so they need any defense they can get. And Jalen Walker, is he an outside linebacker? I think he could be a really good one at the next level. Is he an edge rusher? I think he could be a really good one at the next level as well. He led Georgia in sacks the last 2 years, and he's a great leader. Like everyone from University of Georgia talks about leadership. He's going to be the leader of this Panthers defense going forward. I think he's a Swiss Army knife that you can use a bunch of different ways. I think right here, he's the best player on the board. Despite what this PFF board says, I think Jalen Walker is going to be the pick for the Carolina Panthers. Now, I also have the 9th overall pick, okay? And this is where you guys are going to have to bear with me because this right here, I'm telling you, The Saints at 9th overall is going to be the most shocking pick of the draft. Okay, I'm guaranteeing this is going to be the most shocking pick of the draft, and I'm guaranteeing it even though I have no sources. I'm not freaking Adam Schefter. I have no sources on this. I just have a feeling. Okay, I simply have a feeling on where they're going to go at number 9 overall. And again, there's 2 quarterbacks off the board. I think the Saints do need a quarterback, even though I don't think that's where they should go. I think they should let Derek Carr be hurt and let Spencer Rattler ride it out for the year. But that's not what they're going to do because the Saints aren't a good organization. Okay, they should take the best available pick right here. I don't think they should go quarterback. They should go best available. Maybe you go Kenneth Grant. Maybe you go Ashton Genty because our Alvin Kamara is getting up there in age. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, the New Orleans Saints head coach is Kellen Moore. Last year, he was with the Philadelphia Eagles. He had a quarterback named Jalen who went to Alabama, whose strength was running and not throwing, and he was a leader. This year, there's a quarterback in the draft named Jalen from Alabama, whose strength is running and not throwing, who's a really good leader. With the 9th overall pick, the New Orleans Saints are going to select Jalen Milroe, the quarterback from Alabama.
What?
Wow.
You know what the funny thing is? He said it was going to be the most surprising.
What the heck is wrong with you?
Wow.
I just think it's going to happen.
He said it was going to be the most surprising pick in the draft. I went to filter positions. And immediately selected quarterback. I immediately selected quarterback. I knew exactly where this was fucking going.
Joe, I need you to go all the way, take a flight to Hawaii, pay whatever you have to do, and drug test this man right now. What the heck is going on here, bro? This is ridiculous.
Listen. Again, the Saints aren't a well-run organization. The Saints do dumb shit all the time. They've been pushing their cap situation down the road for years and years and years. I think Kellen Moore is going to say, "Ooh, a quarterback named Jalen who's fast from Alabama." Boom, that's our quarterback.
That's no, but there's no what. They would pick a guy like maybe Jackson Dart, who's been kind of like been higher on the board in comparison to Jalen Milroe. I don't understand why they would go Jalen.
Wow.
He's setting up the Bears. That's what he's doing. He's been loving the Bears this whole offseason. I really
wasn't. I honestly wasn't. With this board, the way it fell, Shedeur Sanders going early, right? Again, they don't have Shedeur at 9. And I think, again, they're worried about the Steelers potentially getting Jalen Milroe at 21. So maybe they trade back and still draft Jalen Milroe. But I think if they get to 9th overall, again, I don't think it's a good pick. I personally would not be anywhere near Jalen Milroe until the 2nd round, but I think they're going to go with Jalen Milroe at 9th overall. Man. I really do.
The retention of this video drops right here.
Maybe. Or maybe it's skyrocketing.
Just hold on.
Maybe. Hey, but you know what? The Bears are on the clock. I have the Bears, and I don't even need to explain this pick. I don't even need to explain it. I'm just going to click, and you know what's happening. Ashton Genty's a Bear, baby. Yeah. They DeAndre Swift, sure, they have him, but Ashton Genty's a generational running back talent. You have a young quarterback. You need somebody to take the pressure off him and handle the bulk of the touches in that offense. Ashton Genty can do that in his sleep. Ashton Genty becomes the next great Bear running back. And now, Kris, the 49ers are on the clock.
We tried to move up. So my thing with the 49ers right now is, if you look at their notable moves as far as the offseason, I complained about it on, the setups that we did earlier during the offseason as far as what their good offseason would look like. They lost a lot of their defensive talent. Now, while there are, obviously, Will Campbell's still on the board, right? Tyler Warren is still on the board. So as far as offense-wise, those would be great if you didn't have such a need at defense right now. And I really feel like returning defensive coordinator comes back and looks at what he sees on the roster and goes, what the hell happened? What the hell did you do? I had you perfectly set up. I come back and now I'm hating every decision I've made previous in my life right now to be in this exact spot. So what I think they do, they definitely, if more than nothing less, I look at they need a cornerback badly. They need edge help. They need anything defensive wise to be completely honest. I think their safety side is set up. But when I look as far as like who I looked at Walter Nolan. I looked at Will Johnson. Now I know everybody has Barron up as the top cornerback option. I do personally like William Johnson. Or Will Johnson, I don't know why I call him William. So I'm going to say that the 49ers are going to take cornerback Will Johnson in this.
Love that pick.
That's a great pick.
Love that pick.
That's a great pick. Let me tell you, man, I you know what, Kris, I would agree with you, but I just think that the Niners are going to while understanding that they need corner, I think they would have gone tackle there, given Will Campbell still being on the board. But now that the Cowboys are still on the board, and this has been a thing about the Cowboys, man. The Cowboys haven't really been able to get a true wide receiver 2 next to CeeDee Lamb. They really have never been able to do that. And I think one of the wide receivers that I am personally very, very high on, that being out of Texas, Matthew freaking Golden, is the perfect wide receiver to pair right next to CeeDee Lamb. I think the Cowboys are in for a very entertaining year from their wide receivers. Are they going to win the division? Probably not. However, they're going to be fun again.
Stays in Texas. Texas
Exactly.
boys staying in Texas.
Oh, God.
So before I make this pick, we have our residence Dolphin fan.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Our true Miami Dolphin teal guy, Sammy, who is hurt. He's feeling pain.
Terribly.
The man's disgruntled.
I'll take it from
He
here,
has been
Joe.
for
No, I won't let you finish. I'll take it from here. Chris Greer, buddy. You want to sit here and tell me, oh, we're willing to trade Jalen Ramsey, and then you say the question comes up, what about Tyreek? And then you say out of that filthy, disgusting mouth, oh, maybe for a first-round pick. What do you mean only for a first-round pick? Let me relax. What do you mean only for a first-round pick? This man beat his wives, plural.
Jeez.
And he beat his kids, plural. But not only that, sorry to get a little heavy on the topic. Forget the outside stuff for a second. Just this past year, he was nobody. He wasn't anything of substance, okay? And he was fully healthy. So they made the excuse, oh, Tua's not playing. That's why. Well, Tua came back into the starting lineup, and Tyreek Hill did 0. So I don't understand what the point is of putting so much stock into Tyreek Hill. I don't know what the point is, but I'm asking for your job. I want your job right now. I need it. I need you gone. One of my friends made a funny comment the other day. He said, what, Chris Greer might as well run for Supreme Court. He might as well be a Supreme Court justice because there's no way the Dolphins are ever going to get rid of him. There's no way. It's never happening. They're just going to keep him there for the rest of time till he's 80 years old. And honestly, I'm over this. I'm over this damn team. I'm over this damn squad. We have lived in mediocrity for far too long, and I am sick and tired. Joe, make your pick before I crash out more, bro.
So
Hey, I should have, after that rant about Chris Greer, I should have left Jalen Milroe on the board, so you could have been with best player available and made Sammy really happy with Jalen Milroe.
Oh my God, bro. Jalen Milroe, please.
So we're looking at the Dolphins, right? And Will Campbell is still on the board, but once again,
this is easy. Come on, bro.
As Sammy likes to say, his tribal chief is not missing a left tackle. A left tackle is not the most valuable thing in Miami. They need a right tackle, but their best right tackle's off the board. However, Will Campbell's arm length, a lot of people put on that, and the review is if he can't stick at tackle because of his arm length, which the tape says he can, he will be an all-pro guard. Miami needs a guard. They need a cornerback now that Jalen Ramsey drama is happening. J.D. Barron's still on the list. They need defensive interior help. However, wouldn't it be funny?
Oh, no, stop it.
Wouldn't it just be great?
Please stop.
If they just
no,
right over and said,
no,
we need another wide receiver.
Stop. I swear.
No,
stop. You take that away right now. I will.
Who is the best wide receiver in this draft?
No, he's not. No, he's not. He's not. Stop it. You better bite your tongue.
I'm just playing.
No,
Miami's going to look at Will Campbell and they go, if he can't stick at tackle, we have an all-pro guard. We need needs at both. Will Campbell, you're staying in the South, baby. You're just moving across. You're just moving across the water. Welcome to Miami.
All right. Campbell. I like that pick. The pick, baby. Beautiful pick, baby.
Will Campbell is an absolute home run for the Dolphins at 13. If they get Will Campbell at 13, Sammy cannot come in here complaining about Chris Greer. He's got to be excited that Will Campbell is his new left tackle of the future because that is an amazing, amazing selection. Now, it's up to me. Okay, I'm the 14th overall pick on the Indianapolis Colts. And to me, this is like, if this scenario happens, the Colts are sprinting Like, I don't know if they I don't know if they're actually in attendance. They're not in attendance. They're sprinting to the phone to call the phone and to call in Tyler Warren as the 14th overall pick, because the Colts tight end production last year was atrocious. They had less than 200 yards, I believe it was. It might have been, that number might be wrong, but I think it was less than 200 yards total for the season from their tight ends. So you get somebody like Tyler Warren, super versatile. You saw how Penn State used him last year in a ton of different ways. He's really smart. He's a high IQ player. He's a former high school quarterback, so that's how you know he's smart. Again, this is, in my opinion, he's the second best pass catcher in the draft. He might be the best pass catcher in the draft, the second best weapon in the draft behind Ashton Genty. So I think the Colts are going to go in there and draft Tyler Warren with the 14th overall pick.
Hey, Matt, good news.
Again.
You're on the pick again. The Falcons are on the clock.
Wake up, buddy.
Pick. And listen, these two picks, okay, I kind of shocked the world with that Jalen Milroe pick. These two picks are easy, okay? I real quick, I'm going to pull up some stats about the Atlanta Falcons, because the Atlanta Falcons are on the clock here at 15. And the Atlanta Falcons have been looking for an edge rusher forever, for literally forever, okay? Let me give you a couple stats here. The Atlanta Falcons haven't had a rusher over 10 sacks since Vic Beasley in 2016, the year they made the Super Bowl and blew that 28-3 lead to our Patriots, okay? And they also haven't even had a rusher over 6.5 sacks since Vic Beasley in 2019. So, they tried Matthew Judon last year. It didn't work. They need an edge rusher more than anything, more than anybody really needs anything in this draft, probably. That's how bad the Atlanta Falcons need an edge rusher. So, to me, the best edge rusher on the board is someone that Sammy talked about. It's Mike Green out of Marshall. I think Mike Green out of Marshall is a no-brainer pick here for the Atlanta Falcons. The production, the tape, the raw measurables, I think it all fits for Atlanta's scheme, and I think Mike Green is going to be a Falcon.
Great pick. We know Mike Green's got a lot of fans on this pod. He's got a lot of fans on this channel. We love Mike Green. I would love to see him in an Atlanta Falcons uniform. I think he is going to be that. But Chris, the Cardinals are on the clock. Who they got?
Yes, they are. So there's one thing I feel like. So the Cardinals, as far as like their offseason, I think they did a great job, because their defense was definitely one of question. So in return with that, what they did was they went out and they got Super Bowl winning edge, and they went out and got Calais Campbell. I mess up his name all the time, so I apologize.
Calais, yep.
And Calais, there you go, Calais Campbell. And they went out and they got Josh Sweat, who just won a Super Bowl, right? So you're already adding to your defense, but even with that, and they do have a need for wide receiver, I believe, as well, that need to pair up with Marvin Harrison Jr. But what I really think they need to look at the cornerback position. They need to look at a guard. Obviously, their guard is horrendous, and they also need to look at a defensive tackle. Now, with the cornerback, I didn't necessarily expect Jahdae Barron to still be on the board, to be quite honest. So if I'm thinking at this particular part, if they're at 16th and Barron hasn't been taken up or swooped up yet, they do the exact same thing. They run to their phone, they send this in, and they go get their quarterback of the future to pair up with their other cornerback, and that way they solidify that deep part of the field ASAP, and really give them, they're really building up their defense to become, if they really want to go into it and they want to try to take a run for the playoffs, this is how they're going to do it. They have to shore up that defense, and this is definitely a part of that.
Well, yeah, that's a great pick, and obviously he slid down this board the way things worked up ahead of us. But Sammy, the Bengals, you're
gonna see a lot of players that probably should be top 10 picks slide, for sure. Especially how stacked this draft is. This is one of the most. This is ironically, if you thought last year's draft was stacked, this year's draft is stacked as well. Just kind of on a lighter scale. We didn't think it'd be this stacked, but lo and behold, here we are. Speaking of stacked at wide receiver, the Bengals are going to be, giving a ton of money to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, and praying to the Lord God up above that wins them a Super Bowl. And what that means is they need to draft well defensively. No other position, defensively. Okay? Now, I have narrowed it down to two options. I have linebacker Jihad Campbell, Holy Ward Campbell, and I have Kenneth Grant as another option. I thought about this, and I realized, well, the Bengals lost pretty much all of their linebackers this offseason, and I think they're going to need another to pair up with Logan Wilson. So with that being said, Jihad Campbell will be picked here at number 17.
Hey, probably one of the, honestly, although Jalen Walker was picked earlier, Jihad Campbell may be one of the best pure linebacker in this draft. You can you have no doubt that's where he's playing at. As Matt said, Jalen Walker, possibly an edge conversion in the NFL. Jihad Campbell is your middle linebacker of the future. But Kris, Seahawks are on the clock.
Yes, they are, and they have a need for their guard, their center, and defensive end, and they definitely need that. I don't feel like they did much, quite honestly, in their offseason. I know they brought in Sam Darnold. I don't know if that's going to be a great or a bad thing for them. They did bring in DeMarcus Lawrence and Ernest Jones as well to kind of shore up on that defensive side. So who I was looking at, I think a couple of them have already been taken off the board. So I don't know if this pick is going to be high with some people, but I do feel like it might be a sneaky good pick. And because he is falling down draft boards, specifically because there's some off-season concerns from what we've heard, I think they are taking edge James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee.
Wow. Oh, man. Oh, Matt, I know you were you really wanted him, didn't you?
He was so close to being there. He was going to be a Buck.
Oh, my gosh. Go to your backup plan. Matt.
Damn it. Man, what a pick, Kris. Every single preparing for this episode, I did like 100 mocks, and literally every single mock draft I did, James Pierce Jr. was there at 19. So I had this whole spiel about, this would be a great fit for James Pierce Jr. But sure enough, Kris goes 18 and picks James Pierce Jr. Goodness gracious. Well, he's a great, I think he goes to a good organization like Seattle with a lot of high character guys, especially someone like DeMarcus Lawrence in there to kind of help him, guide him along. I think that's going to be a good fit for him. So now I'm scrambling, ladies and gentlemen. I'm in scramble mode here because my other one that I wanted for the Tampa Bay Bucs was Jihad Campbell because he as like a replacement for Levante David. So now I'm really scrambling here, ladies and gentlemen. However, there's a couple of other really nice names that we have on the board here. I think Kenneth Grant could be a really big fit here. I think that would be a nice fit for the Tampa Bay Bucs, especially with Vita Vea getting a little bit older in age. I think Kenneth Grant coming in, learning from Vita and being the freak of nature that he is would be a great fit here as well. But the Bucs struggled a lot in pass rush last year. They added Hassan Reddick to one side in the offseason. Obviously, I was looking forward to having James Pierce Jr. on this team, but Joe's man here, Donovan Ezeraku, is going to be a really good fit as well. So I think Donovan Ezeraku will turn out to be a Tampa Bay Buck if it turns out that the Seahawks do pick James Pierce Jr. and screw me over.
Well, Kris, you've already messed him over once. It is time to see if you mess over Sammy. The Broncos are on the clock.
Yes. And you know what I love? I feel like the Broncos going into 2024 weren't getting a lot of love, to be quite honest. When they took Bo Nix, I think there was a lot of concern. Like, was that really worth, where you picked him? They ended their season at 10-7. Obviously, they lost in their wild card loss to the Bills. And I do feel like I think they did enough during offseason, but I do feel like the loss to the Bills should have opened up Sean Payton's mind and looking at, you need some more weapons for Bo Nix, whether it be running back, whether it be wide receiver, whether it be tight end. You need somebody he can get the ball to, because quite honestly, outside of his number one wide receiver in Courtland Sutton, who is also going up in age, had a great season last season. Please don't dismiss that. He had a fantastic season.
He did.
But it can't just be on him, and it can't just be on Bo Nix. When Bo Nix is your third best running back, that is a problem. That is a big problem. The only reason I am not going running back at this particular position is because that position is extremely deep. So I do feel like they can get a usable running back that's going to help them immensely starting the season off as a starter, probably in the second or third round. That's the only reason why I'm not going running back. But I do think they go ahead and they take Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State to pair with Courtland Sutton and give Bo Nix, hopefully, an experience where he's not going into that second-year quarterback phase that we know is almost like the quarterback backslide in the second season, and obviously illustrates that they can rise him up to maybe get past the wild card round in the why am I losing my mind right now? In the playoffs. Y'all knew what I was saying.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And that brings the Steelers on the clock.
This is the toughest decision I've had to make so far. Hands down. I think that it's no secret that the Steelers have the foundation, they have the foundation sealed up. They have a solid defense ready to go, but they don't have a quarterback. And unfortunately, you're going to have to swing. And you're going to have to swing on, in my opinion, the third best QB in this entire draft. I'm playing. Jackson Dart.
Tyler Shuck.
Jackson Dart will be picked. And by the way, this is a complete like hope and shot in the dark for the Steelers. I think they're gonna try to go for Aaron Rodgers for sure in the offseason just to like make something out of the core they already have. But they're hoping and praying that a guy like Jackson Dart pans out. And worst comes to worst, you always got next year to look at your QB options.
Well, Chris, the Chargers are on the clock as we've now had a way more quarterbacks go in the first round than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Way more.
Chargers are on the clock, Chris.
Very desperate. Very desperate franchises.
Absolutely. So let's look at the Chargers, man. Let's talk about the Chargers. So we talked a lot about after the wild card ridiculous loss that they suffered, where they were at. And I do think one of those key things that they were missing in that particular moment, again, we can go back to Broncos as well, is that Justin Herbert didn't really have a backup outside of Lad McConkey, right? And he's obviously a slot, essentially. That's what he is. So they need some help. Unfortunately, there are a lot of starter-relating ex-wide receivers right now in this draft. We know they have a kind of a deep draft, but I think it's more of a project draft when it comes to the wide receivers. So what I think they're going to do, I do think if he is still on this board at this exact time, I think without a doubt that this particular thing is being thrown in as quickly as possible. They're running to the board as quickly as possible, and they're taking Colston Loveland, tight end, out of Michigan to pair up with his old coach.
They hate Luther Burden, Joe. That should say a lot, man.
It's not that they hate Luther Burden. They need a big body receiver. That's essentially what he is. Even though
he is for sure.
He's
yeah,
not really a good passing or blocking
at all. No,
he's
not.
Fantastic catching tight end, and they need a big body guy that Herbert can get to. And I think this is going to be your best option if you want one that can start right away.
So
great pick, Chris.
It's funny, right? Like it's funny because Green Bay, in the history of drafts recently, has not graded well. However, what Green Bay does is they take highly athletic guys who fit their mold, right? Like what they believe they can get talent of. They look at high raw athleticism and they hope to mold it into something. That hasn't worked for them, and it's time to change up what they do. And I'm just going to go out and say it. Luther Burden is the best route runner in this draft. Luther Burden only would have been the top wide receiver in this draft if Brady Cook hadn't had the regression, the likes of the dinosaur seeing the asteroid.
It's quite the regression.
It's an unbelievable.
Like went from alive to dead, essentially, is what I'm saying, people. If you didn't get what my meaning, Luther Burden, welcome to Green Bay.
Nice, that's a nice pick.
Wow,
and especially if he's still there.
Yes, and now I have the Vikings.
Oh boy.
And also very interesting is that they need defensive back help. I could take Malachi Starks.
He's not getting picked, is he?
I could take Kenneth Grant to shore up the defensive interior.
Man, he's sliding.
Walter Nolan.
There's so many first round.
But you know what? You know who I'm going to take? The guy that I think solves this problem for them. The guy I think they should have drafted before they re-signed Aaron Jones. Omarion Hampton.
Omarion Hampton is a first-round pick.
Omarion Hampton.
Over Malachi Starks, Josh Simmons, Kenneth Grant, Calvin Banks, Walter Nolan. Oh, my gosh. This is crazy.
Omarion Hampton is like PFF 25. What the fuck are you talking about?
First of all, PFF also had Tetairoa McMillan at 3. Okay, so we're not gonna.
No, that was a 50-50. I did a 50-50 rank of public and PFF boards.
Oh, public boards. That explains a lot. Okay.
Public and PFF boards.
Jeez.
My bad.
Crazy. I mean, I like the pick, Joe. I like the pick. Like you said, Aaron
same.
Jones getting up there at age. They need a running back of the future. Omarni Hampton's going to be a really good option for them. My team that I'm picking for now, though, I'm the Houston Texans, and they do not need a running back of the future. The two positions of need that it says right there on the PFF are the two positions they need. It's wide receiver and it's offensive line. Now, they already kind of addressed their wide receiver by going and getting Christian Kirk coming off a serious knee injury. I don't know if that's the right solution, but they're finding that as a solution. So, having traded Laramie Tunsil inexplicably, and also having let go of Shaq Mason, they replaced Laramie Tunsil with Cam Robinson, solid replacement. But this team needs offensive line help so bad. Now, when you look at these guys on the board, I think Kelvin Banks is probably the best left tackle remaining on the board. He's probably the best tackle on the board. However, when you look at the Texans offensive line right now, I think they have left tackle covered with Cam Robinson, and they need help everywhere else. So I think they're looking for a more versatile player in this first round. And I think the most versatile tackle and the most versatile offensive lineman on this board, Joe just scrolled over to him. He knows exactly where I'm going. It's Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. He is an absolute dog.
No.
You can play him on the interior. He's going to be an elite level guard, or you can throw him at right tackle. Blake Fisher was awful last year for them at tackle, so you could throw him at right tackle as well. I think he's the most versatile offensive lineman on the board. I don't think he's the best. Like I said, I think Kelvin Banks is probably the best option on the board right now, but I think they're going to go with Gray Zabel strictly for his versatility and the fact you can play him anywhere on the offensive line.
You just did. You just gave it back. You gave the shot back. Thank you very
Let's
much.
go.
There's your receipt, Chris.
Got
You
him.
did it on purpose. Yeah, literally. I'm blowing that receipt out, fucker.
Hey,
And
Chris.
by the way, I'm done for the rest of the draft because all my teams are so ass. I had
You can
nobody
clock
to
out.
reach the
You
conference
can clock out
championship.
now.
So I'm out of here. See you guys later.
Jeez.
All right, Chris, the Rams are on the clock.
Man, yeah. So when I look at the Rams, they made some notable moves. They obviously let go of longtime wide receiver Cooper Kupp. They brought in Devontae Adams, which I thought was a great pickup. To be honest, he wasn't getting a lot of love for whatever reason. I don't know why. And then they brought in a tackle, Larrick Jackson. But what I do think they need is obviously you're looking at Matthew Stafford and you're looking for a chip. That's what you're looking for. The problem is that while you have a decent offensive line, we know how important right now the offensive line and the defensive line is right now. Just how much people are focusing on being in the trenches. And if you want to keep him upright, because you know he is basically a pocket passer, then you need to find the best ways. And right now, he's sitting right there again. Did not expect him to be here, but if he's there right now, phenomenal pick at 26 overall. I'm taking Kelvin Banks Jr.
Facts.
I'm sprinting
Great pick.
to get Kelvin Banks Jr. to help out their quarterback to try to get to that chip before he actually retires.
Yeah, you know what? This actually works out perfectly for the Ravens. Because as good as their defense was, as good as their pass rush has been in past years, I feel like there is need for a primary one. And you know what? There's a guy right there coming out of Georgia, Michael Williams, that perfectly fits that mold. I was debating putting Shamar Stewart over Michael Williams, but I just couldn't get it past my conscience. I think Michael Williams is just a better prospect. And Michael Williams just it feels like a Raven. He just fits the Raven mold, in my opinion.
Oh, the Lions.
God, they've got the defensive tackle slide has been crazy. The Walter Nolan and Kenneth Grant still being here at 28 is just wild to me.
That is wild.
Yeah, and you have Malachi Starks.
Too.
And so I'm looking at the Giants or at the Lions here, and they have giants on this team. I mean, you look at the edge position, you're looking for someone to pair. Linebackers, I think they have some decent stuff there. They could use somebody else. I don't think they fill that need here. There's not a guard here. Edge, wide receivers, the later rounds are good, and it's perplexing. It's perplexing to me to look at this. But you look at some of the wide receivers that are later in this round, right? Like they're not going to be in the Jaden Higgins lottery, right? They're not going to be in the Jack Beck lottery. They're not going to be with some of these wide receivers early on, right? They're not going to be here for some of these guys. The best option they're going to get is Jalen Royals, realistically. They're going to have Jalen Royals will be the best wide receiver on the thing when they get there. So do they reach for a wide receiver here? Do they take the best player available? What do they do? And it's such a just randomness here. And I'm looking at all these guys, and I think that you look at kind of what they have available right now, and usually when you don't have anything that's going on, you take the best player available. Unfortunately, their secondary, I don't think they need Malachi Starks. I don't think they need interior defensive line. They need an edge, and Shamar Stewart is still on the board. As much as it pains me, I kind of feel like I could see them reaching for a wide receiver here, but there's so much talent in the middle rounds. Why would you? Why would you? And for that, hey, Sammy,
I think
Commanders are on the
yeah,
clock.
you know what? I was scared for a second because I was about to make a pick.
I don't think they're going to look at a receiver. I don't think the Lions
The
are going
Lions,
to look at
Lions
receiver.
wouldn't. I don't think the Lions would have looked. I agree with Matt. I don't think the Lions would have looked at receiver. I think they would have figured it out on their own. But regardless of that, I was scared that you were going to get my pick here. Let me tell you, man, the Commanders are in for a very, very, very big year in terms of expectations. And I think if this guy falls all the way to the Commanders at pick 29, they are getting a stud. I think safety is something that they need. Malachi Starks is the perfect fit, in my opinion, and he's going to help propel that Commander secondary to be a lot better. I think I was debating picking Kenneth Grant, but I think they're going to rely on Jerjon Newton and Deron Payne to develop as defensive tackles rather than going with Kenneth Grant here. And if they want, they could just go to get another second round pick. This defensive line class is stacked.
It really is. And I'm back on the clock now, and the Bills. The Bills have been seeking a pass rush for a very long time. And they tried Von Miller in a pass rush rotation. It did not work. I think that they saw the Eagles get after Patrick Mahomes early and often. They looked at the blueprint that the Bucs did in the Tom Brady Super Bowl where they got after Patrick Mahomes early and often. And they realized if they want to take the leap, they need to get after Patrick Mahomes early and often. And I think that Nick Scorton is still on the board here. That's where the Bills go. They could take Trey Amos, who I think would solve some of their secondary issues, maybe get a little more coverage sacks if they felt that way. But I feel that they have a needed edge, and that is their biggest need. Nick Scorton, you are a Buffalo Bill.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah.
Real quick before you go, Chris, I hate that we just let the two best defensive linemen in the draft or two best defensive tackles in the draft fall to Kansas City at 31. Like that makes me sick.
And they're gonna
they're gonna throw up.
They're gonna pick one of these two guys too. Like
100%. If they're on the board, 100%.
They're foaming at the mouth.
Do I even need to say it?
Yeah.
Man.
Just make the pick.
You know what, Matt? You didn't have nobody to go. You go. I won't even say it for you. You say it.
You want me to go?
I want you to go. I want you to say it. I want you.
I know who I would take here. If I had a choice between these two guys, I know who I would.
Would it be Nick Nash, Joe? Would it be him?
Yeah, for real. Yeah, you would definitely pick Nick Nash. I know who I would want the Chiefs to take here. If I had my choice, they're picking Riley Leonard, quarterback out of Notre Dame, so they just waste the pick to throw a pick away. But sure enough, these two guys fall to them. I think they're going to go with the freakier of the two guys. I think they're going to go with the more talented of the two guys, and I think they're going to go with Kenneth Grant here. Kenneth Grant, in my opinion, is one of the most talented players in the draft. If I were picking for the Bears, if Ashton Genty wasn't on the board, I would have considered Kenneth Grant at 10th overall. That's how highly I think of Kenneth Grant. I think he's one of the best defensive players in the draft, and the fact that the Kansas City freaking Chiefs are going to get Kenneth Grant at 31st overall, I will throw up. Kenneth Grant and Chris Jones in the interior of your D-line is disgusting. So, yeah, they're revamping and getting ready for another Super Bowl run with Kenneth Grant here at 31.
Jeez, man.
And that brings us to the 32nd pick of the draft. The last pick, Sammy, you got the Eagles, the defending champs. I
don't want to help this damn team. What am I doing here, bro? What are we doing here? Look, man, I think they could use some. I was debating this, and I know tackle isn't necessarily a problem for the Eagles. However, Lane Johnson is getting older, and I do think that they would benefit from getting a tackle like
I was trying to find an edge player. I was like,
I don't think there are any edges that are good enough for the Eagles to necessarily reach for them. In my humble opinion, I don't think there are any edges that are good enough. I think they go safe here. The best player available right now. Josh Simmons as tackle. I think you develop him for a year. Similar what the Eagles did with Jason Kelsey and Cam Jurgens. I think they're going to do something very similar with Josh Simmons here. There you go.
Wow.
This is
And
such
there
a
you
first.
have
What a
it,
disastrous.
ladies and gentlemen.
What a disastrous draft.
We have completed the mock draft here at Between the Uprights.
Wow.
And that's what it looks like.
This has been Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details.